Marcus Cole wiped the black grease from his rough hands and stared at the strange object sitting on his old workbench. It looked like a piece of broken alien technology, covered in thick dust and symbols he had never seen before. The metal surface felt cold under his fingers, and the symbols seemed to move when he wasn't looking directly at them. He had no idea that fixing this simple piece of junk would change everything he knew about humanity's place in the universe. Marcus worked in a small repair shop on Station Theta 9, a lonely trading post floating at the edge of human space. The station was old, dirty, and filled with travelers from 100 different alien worlds. Marcus spent his days fixing broken tools, damaged ship parts, and whatever cheap junk the traders brought to him. It wasn't exciting work, but it paid enough to survive. 3 days ago, something unusual happened. A hooded alien merchant entered his shop. The creature's face was hidden in shadow, and its hands shook nervously as it placed a heavy metal object on the counter. "This is broken," the alien said in a quiet voice. "Can you fix it?" Marcus picked up the object and examined it carefully. It was roughly the size of a human head, shaped like a crown or helmet. Strange symbols covered every surface, glowing faintly in the dim light of his workshop. "What is it?" Marcus asked. "Old junk," the alien replied too quickly. "Found it in a waste pile. I'll pay you 50 credits if you can make it work." 50 credits was good money for simple repair work. Marcus agreed. The alien left immediately, almost running out of the shop. Marcus found that strange, but he didn't think much about it. Aliens were often weird. For 3 days, Marcus worked on the mysterious object. He used every tool he owned. He scanned it with his computers, but the machines couldn't identify what the object was made from. The metal was harder than steel, but lighter than aluminum. It seemed to absorb energy from his tools and glow brighter. Most mechanics would have given up. But Marcus loved puzzles. He loved challenges. He loved taking broken things and making them work again. On the 3rd night, Marcus finally understood the pattern. The symbols weren't just decorations. They formed circuits like the inside of a computer, but far more complex than anything humans had ever built. Using basic tools and his own intuition, Marcus carefully repaired the damaged sections. He connected broken pathways. He cleaned corroded contacts. He worked with the patience of an artist creating a masterpiece. At midnight on the 3rd day, Marcus connected the final piece. The object suddenly came to life. Blue light burst from every symbol, filling the workshop with strange shadows. Marcus jumped back, his heart racing with surprise and fear. A voice spoke from the object. It sounded mechanical at first, cold and emotionless. "Systems restored. Primary functions online. Scanning. Operator." Marcus stood frozen, unable to move. The blue light grew brighter, washing over him like water. He felt it touch his skin, his face, even pass through his clothes. It was scanning him, reading something about him. Then the voice changed. It became deeper, warmer, almost emotional. "DNA match confirmed," the voice said, and now it sounded shocked. "Royal bloodline detected. Access granted to all systems." Marcus felt his mouth go dry. What are you?" "I am the Emperor's crown," the object replied. "I have waited 10,000 years for one of the royal family to awaken me." "Welcome home, my king." Marcus almost laughed. He was a mechanic. He fixed broken machines in a dirty workshop. He wasn't royalty. He wasn't special. "There's a mistake," Marcus said. "I'm just a regular human. I'm nobody important." "You are incorrect," the crown responded. "Your DNA carries the genetic markers of the First Empire. You are a direct descendant of the human royal family. You are the rightful ruler of 3,000 worlds." Before Marcus could respond, the crown projected a hologram into the air. Marcus gasped at what he saw. It was a map of the entire galaxy. Thousands of star systems glowed in the darkness, and at the center of everything was Earth, humanity's home world, marked with golden light. Lines connected Earth to every other system. Thousands of worlds all linked together, and every single one was marked with the same word in ancient human language, Empire. "This is impossible," Marcus whispered. "Humans only left Earth 300 years ago. We're new to space. We're weak compared to other alien races. That is what they wanted you to believe. the Crown said quietly. But it is a lie, Marcus Cole. Humanity once ruled the greatest empire the galaxy had ever seen. You were powerful. You were advanced. You were feared and respected by every species. Then what happened? Marcus demanded. Why don't we remember? Why are humans scattered and weak now? The Crown's light flickered sadly. You were betrayed. There was a war. Your enemies defeated you and then did something worse than killing you. They erased your history. They made humanity forget everything. They wanted to ensure you would never rise again. Marcus felt his legs weaken. He sat down heavily on his work stool, his mind racing with 1,000 questions. Everything he knew about human history was a lie. Humanity wasn't young and weak. They were ancient and powerful. They had ruled the stars, and someone had stolen that knowledge from them. Marcus looked at the Crown, then at the holographic map still glowing in the air. 3,000 worlds that once belonged to humanity. An empire lost to time and lies. What do I do now? Marcus asked quietly. The Crown's voice was gentle but firm. That choice is yours, Marcus Cole. But know this. The moment I awakened, I sent a signal across the galaxy. Your enemies know you exist. They know the Crown has found its heir. They will come for you. They will try to kill you and destroy me before the truth spreads. Marcus felt cold fear run through his body. How long do I have? Hours, perhaps. Maybe less. Marcus stood up slowly, his mind made up. He grabbed his communicator and called the only person he trusted. Sarah, it's Marcus. I need you to come to my shop immediately. And Sarah, bring whatever weapons you have. We're in trouble. As he waited, Marcus stared at the Crown. He was just a mechanic. Just a simple man who fixed broken things. But maybe, just maybe, he could fix something much bigger. He could fix humanity's forgotten past. The alien merchant who sold Marcus the relic never came back for it. In fact, he disappeared completely. Marcus soon learned why. Because across the galaxy, someone very powerful just discovered that the Emperor's crown had awakened after 10,000 years of silence. And they were terrified. Marcus couldn't sleep. It had been 3 days since the relic spoke to him. 3 days since it called him king. He kept the object locked in a metal box in his workshop, but it didn't matter. He could still hear its voice in his mind. Marcus Cole, it whispered. You carry the bloodline of the First Empire. Marcus tried to ignore it, but every night the voice grew stronger. Humanity once ruled 3,000 worlds. You commanded the stars. You were the greatest civilization the galaxy had ever seen. Marcus laughed bitterly. That's impossible. Humans only left Earth 300 years ago. We're newcomers. We're weak, but the crown didn't argue. Instead, it showed him something. Visions flooded Marcus's mind. Ancient memories stored deep within the relic's core. He saw humans in magnificent armor, their ships cutting through space like silver eagles. He saw massive cities floating among the stars. He saw fleets so large they blocked out suns. This wasn't fiction. These were memories, real events from thousands of years ago. We were powerful, Marcus whispered in shock. But what happened? Why don't we remember? The crown's voice turned sad. There was a war. Terrible war. Humanity was betrayed by those you trusted. You were forced to flee, to hide, to forget. Marcus felt cold. Forget? Someone made us forget our own history? Yes, the crown confirmed. Your enemies wanted to ensure humans would never rise again. So they erased your past. They scattered your people. They made you believe you were primitive. Marcus stared at his hands. Everything he knew about human history was a lie. Meanwhile, thousands of light years away, something terrible was happening. On the capital world of the Talvesh Empire, alarms screamed through the royal palace. High Commander Zerath stood before a holographic display, his 4 eyes wide with disbelief. The signal came from where? He demanded. Sector 447, my lord, a technician replied nervously. Station Theta 9, a human trading post. Zerath's claws dug into his command chair. A human activated the crown? Yes, my lord. DNA scans confirm it. The human carries the royal bloodline. For a moment, Zerath said nothing. Then he roared in fury, his voice shaking the entire chamber. This cannot be. The humans were supposed to remain broken, ignorant, weak. The Talvesh Empire had ruled the galaxy for 8,000 years. But they had a secret, a dark truth they never spoke about. Long ago, humans ruled instead. The Talvesh had been servants, soldiers in the human empire's armies. Then came the rebellion. The Talvesh and other races joined together and attacked humanity. The war lasted centuries. In the end, humanity fell. But the Talvesh didn't just defeat humans. They tried to erase them completely. They destroyed human records, burned libraries, hunted down anyone who remembered the old empire. They used advanced technology to wipe memories from entire populations. Finally, they scattered the surviving humans across distant, primitive worlds. Humans were forced to start over from nothing, believing they were a young, weak species. It took us 1,000 years to make them forget, Zraith hissed. And now some mechanic finds the Emperor's crown and undoes everything? His second-in-command stepped forward. My lord, what are your orders? Zraith's expression turned cold. Assemble a strike force. 3 warships. Find that crown and destroy it. Kill the human who activated it. Kill everyone on that station if necessary. And if word spreads, if other humans learn the truth, Zraith smiled darkly, then we'll do what we did before. We'll burn their worlds until they forget again. Back on Station Theta 9, Marcus made a decision. He couldn't hide this. He needed answers. He contacted his old friend, Dr. Sarah Chen. She was a human archaeologist who studied ancient alien civilizations. If anyone would believe him, it was Sarah. When she arrived at his workshop, Marcus didn't waste time. He showed her the crown. Sarah's face went pale. Her hands trembled as she reached toward it. Marcus, where did you find this? An alien merchant sold it to me. Said it was broken junk. But it's not junk, Sarah. It spoke to me. It told me we used to rule the galaxy. Sarah sat down heavily. For a long moment she said nothing. Then she started laughing. Not from joy, but from relief. I knew it, she whispered. I knew I wasn't crazy. Marcus frowned. What do you mean? Sarah pulled out her data pad, showing him years of research. Marcus, I've been finding clues for decades. Strange artifacts on human colonies. Ancient structures that match our DNA. Technology buried on Earth that's older than our civilization. I presented my findings to the scientific community. Do you know what they did? They laughed at me, called me a conspiracy theorist, said I was making things up. She touched the crown gently. But I wasn't making it up. Humans were here before. We had an empire, and someone erased every trace of it. Marcus nodded slowly. The Talvesh. The crown showed me. They're the ones who made us forget. Then they'll come for this, Sarah said quietly. The moment they detected its activation, they knew. Marcus, we're in danger. As if answering her words, alarms suddenly blared throughout the station. Marcus and Sarah ran to the nearest monitor. 3 massive warships appeared on the screen, dropping out of faster-than-light travel. Their hulls were dark gray, covered in weapons. Talvesh military vessels, a message broadcast across all station channels. The voice was cold and mechanical. Attention Station Theta 9. You are harboring a dangerous artifact and a criminal. Surrender the crown and the human who activated it within 1 hour, or this station will be destroyed. You have 1 hour to comply. Marcus felt his heart pounding. 1 hour, Sarah grabbed his arm. Marcus, what do we do? Marcus looked at the crown, then at the warships on the screen. For years, Marcus had been just a mechanic. He fixed things. He stayed out of trouble, but standing there with the crown in his hands and warships outside, something changed inside him. Maybe it was the crown's influence. Maybe it was something deeper. Marcus looked at Sarah with an expression she'd never seen before. Calm, determined, almost dangerous. Sarah, I need you to trust me. I'm going to put on the crown. What? Marcus, no. You don't know what it will do to you. I know exactly what it will do, Marcus replied. It will teach me 10,000 years of knowledge, battle strategies, weapon systems, everything the First Empire knew. He lifted the crown toward his head. The Talvesh think they're dealing with a primitive human mechanic. They're about to learn they're very, very wrong. Marcus placed the crown on his head, and his eyes began to glow with blue light. Marcus had 1 hour to surrender himself and the crown to the Talvesh warships. 1 hour before they destroyed the entire station and killed everyone aboard. Instead of surrendering, he did something that terrified his friend Sarah. He placed the Emperor's crown on his head. The moment the metal touched his skin, Marcus's world exploded with light and knowledge. 10,000 years of information flooded into his brain like a massive wave crashing into his mind. Battle strategies, weapon systems, command protocols, engineering secrets, military tactics, everything the First Empire had ever known poured into him. Marcus screamed in pain, falling to his knees. His eyes glowed bright blue. Sarah grabbed his shoulders, trying to help him, but Marcus couldn't hear her. The crown was changing him, teaching him, transforming him from a simple mechanic into something the galaxy had forgotten. A human warrior. After 30 seconds that felt like hours, the pain stopped. Marcus stood up slowly and Sarah gasped at what she saw. His eyes were still glowing faintly. His posture was different, straighter, more confident. When he looked at her, it wasn't the same Marcus anymore. This version was calm, focused, and slightly dangerous. "Marcus?" Sarah whispered nervously. "Are you okay?" "I'm better than okay," Marcus replied, his voice steady and strong. "Sarah, the crown just gave me knowledge that humanity lost thousands of years ago. I know things now. Important things. What kind of things?" Marcus walked to his computer terminal and began typing faster than Sarah had ever seen anyone type. "This station has defense systems, old systems, ancient systems that nobody remembers because they're 10,000 years old. But the crown remembers everything." Sarah looked confused. "This station is only 300 years old. How can it have ancient defenses?" Marcus smiled. "Because humans built this station on top of something older, an old Empire outpost. The current builders didn't even realize what they were building on. But the foundation is still here, buried deep in the station's core. And those defenses still work." Sarah's eyes went wide. "You're going to fight 3 warships?" "Marcus, that's suicide." "You're one person." "I'm not fighting them," Marcus corrected her calmly. "The station is." Outside the station, Commander Zraith sat in his flagship, watching the countdown timer. 50 minutes remaining until the deadline. He expected the humans to surrender any moment now. They always did. Humans were weak, scared, and easy to control. "Commander," his weapons officer said, "I'm detecting power fluctuations from the station." Zraith frowned. "What kind of fluctuations?" "Unknown, sir. It's coming from deep inside the station's structure. It's old technology. Very old." Zraith felt a cold sensation in his chest. "How old?" "I don't know, sir. My computers can't identify it. It predates anything in our databases." Before Zraith could respond, something impossible happened. 6 massive defense platforms rose from hidden bays around Station Theta 9. They had been buried in the station's outer hull, invisible and dormant for thousands of years. Now they unfolded like metal flowers, their weapons pointing directly at the Talvesh warships. Zraith stared in disbelief. "That's impossible. Those platforms, they're First Empire technology." His weapons officer looked terrified. "Sir, those weapons are charging. Energy signatures are off the scale." "Ray shields!" Zraith screamed. "Maximum power to shields." The 3 Talvesh warships activated their defensive shields, the strongest shields in the known galaxy. Nothing could penetrate them. They had stopped nuclear weapons, plasma cannons, and antimatter bombs. Then Marcus activated the ancient platforms. 6 beams of pure white energy lanced out from the platforms. They hit the Talvesh shields and passed through them like they weren't even there. The shields collapsed instantly, overloaded by technology far more advanced than anything the current galaxy possessed. Zraith watched his shield display go from green to black in less than 3 seconds. "Impossible!" he screamed. "Those shields are the best in the Empire." Inside the station, Marcus spoke calmly into the communication system. His voice broadcast to all 3 warships and everyone on the station. "Commander Zraith of the Talvesh Empire, this is Marcus Cole. You came here to destroy a relic and kill a human. You thought we were weak. You thought we forgot who we were." Marcus's voice became harder, more commanding. "You were wrong. We're not newcomers to the galaxy. We're not primitive. We're the ones who were here first. We're the ones who built technology your empire still can't understand. You didn't defeat us, you just made us sleep for a while." On his flagship, Zraith felt real fear for the first time in his military career. This wasn't supposed to happen. Humans were supposed to be weak and broken. "You have one chance," Marcus continued. Leave this sector now.
Return to your empire.
Tell them that humanity is waking up. Tell them that the days of keeping us ignorant and scattered are over. Zraith's pride wouldn't let him retreat. He had brought 3 warships. He had overwhelming force. He refused to run from one human and some ancient platforms. All ships, Zraith ordered. Target that station. Fire everything! The 3 Talvesh warships opened fire with every weapon they had. Missiles, energy beams, plasma torpedoes, everything launched at once, a storm of destruction heading toward Station Theta 9. Marcus didn't panic. The crown had taught him patience. It had taught him how to think like a commander, not like a frightened mechanic. He pressed one button. The ancient defense platforms moved with impossible speed. Their targeting systems, 10,000 years more advanced than Talvesh computers, locked onto every single incoming weapon. The platforms fired again. Every missile exploded in space. Every energy beam was intercepted. Every torpedo was vaporized before it could reach the station. Not a single weapon got through. The people on the station watched in stunned silence as their old trading post defended itself with technology from humanity's forgotten past. Sarah stood next to Marcus, watching the displays. This is incredible. How long can the platforms keep fighting? Marcus checked the power readings. The Crown says these platforms were designed to protect Empire worlds from entire invasion fleets. 3 warships? This isn't even a challenge for them. Outside, Zraith realized he had made a terrible mistake. His weapons were useless, his shields were gone, and those platforms were still pointing at his ships with enough power to vaporize them. One of his officers spoke quietly. Commander, the other 2 ships are requesting permission to retreat. Zraith wanted to refuse. He wanted to keep fighting, but he wasn't stupid. This battle was already lost. Signal retreat, Zraith said bitterly. But mark my words, this isn't over. The Empire will return with 100 ships. 1,000 ships. We will crush these humans before they can spread their poison. 2 of the warships turned and jumped to faster-than-light speed, escaping the system. But Zraith's flagship remained. His pride wouldn't let him run without firing one last shot. Commander, what are you doing? His weapons officer asked nervously. Charging the main cannon, Zraith replied coldly. If I'm going to retreat in shame, I'll at least damage that station first. The flagship's main weapon, a massive plasma cannon capable of destroying small moons, began charging. It would take 30 seconds to reach full power. Marcus saw what Zraith was planning. He could destroy the flagship easily. The platforms had enough firepower to turn it into dust. But the Crown whispered something else to him. Something important, show mercy, the Crown said. Show the galaxy that humans are not monsters. Show them you're better than your enemies. Marcus made his choice. Instead of destroying the flagship, he targeted its weapon systems. The platforms fired with surgical precision. 6 beams hit the charging plasma cannon, overloading it and causing a controlled explosion that disabled the weapon without destroying the ship. Zraith sat in darkness as his flagship's power systems failed. Emergency lights flickered on. Marcus's voice came through the communication system one last time. I could have killed you, Commander. I could have destroyed all 3 of your ships. But I didn't. Do you know why? Zraith said nothing. Because humanity doesn't want to be conquerors anymore, Marcus continued. We just want to be treated as equals. Remember that when you report back to your empire. Remember that a human showed you mercy when you showed him none. The defense platforms powered down, allowing Zraith's damaged flagship to limp away into the darkness. Inside the station, Marcus removed the crown from his head. Immediately, exhaustion hit him like a physical blow. He nearly collapsed, but Sarah caught him. Marcus, are you all right? Tired, Marcus mumbled. The crown, it takes a lot of energy. Around them, the station's population was cheering. They had survived. One human with ancient technology had defeated the Talvesh Empire's warships. But Sarah noticed something on her datapad that made her face go pale. Marcus, you need to see this. Marcus looked at her screen. It showed a message spreading across the entire human communication network. Someone on the station had recorded the battle and broadcast it. Every human colony, every station, Every ship in known space had just watched Marcus defeat 3 warships using technology from humanity's lost empire. The message was simple, added by whoever sent the recording: "We were kings once. Perhaps we can be again." Sarah looked worried. "Marcus, this is going to change everything. Every human in the galaxy just saw this. They're going to start asking questions. They're going to start searching for the truth." Marcus nodded slowly, understanding what she meant. Across 1,000 worlds, humans were waking up to the possibility that their history was a lie. They were beginning to remember that they were once powerful, and the Talvesh Empire realized they had a serious problem. The age of keeping humanity weak and ignorant was ending. New age was beginning, and nothing would ever be the same again. 6 months had passed since Marcus defeated the Talvesh. Warships at Station Theta 9. 6 months since the battle recording spread across every human colony in the galaxy. Everything had changed. Marcus could no longer walk through any human settlement without being recognized. People called him a hero. They called him a savior. Some even called him emperor, though Marcus hated that title. The crown sat in a secure case in his quarters, but its presence haunted him every day. Sometimes he could still hear its voice whispering in his mind, showing him visions of what humanity could become if he truly embraced its power. Today, Marcus stood in front of a massive window on a transport ship, watching as they approached the Galactic Council's headquarters. It was a huge space station, larger than any human city, built at the center of known space where 50 different alien races met to govern the galaxy. Sarah stood beside him, looking nervous. "Are you sure about this? The council demanded you appear before them. That's never a good sign." Marcus touched the bag at his side where the crown was hidden. "They're afraid. The whole galaxy watched me activate ancient human technology. They want to know what else we might have hidden out there." "And what are you going to tell them?" Marcus smiled slightly. "The truth, that humanity is done being treated like children." The council chamber was designed to impress and intimidate. The ceiling stretched high above, covered in stars. Representatives from 50 alien races sat in a massive circle, all staring down at the small platform where Marcus stood alone. At the highest seat sat Vorath, an ancient being who had led the Galactic Council for 300 years. His species lived for thousands of years, and his eyes held the weight of all that time. "Marcus Cole." Vorath's voice echoed through the chamber. "You stand accused of violating peace treaties. You activated weapons that were banned after the First Empire fell. You destroyed Talvesh military vessels. Explain yourself." Marcus looked around the chamber calmly. He had practiced this moment in his mind 100 times. "You call them banned weapons," Marcus said clearly, "but they were only banned for humans. Every other species in this council still has their military fleets, their weapons, their defenses. Only humanity was forced to stay weak." Murmurs spread through the alien representatives. "The First Empire was dangerous," Vorath replied coldly. "Your ancestors nearly destroyed the galaxy with their wars. We did what was necessary to ensure peace." "That's your version of history," Marcus shot back. "The crown showed me what really happened. You attacked us first. Multiple species joined together because you were jealous of human advancement. You couldn't beat us in fair competition, so you destroyed us through betrayal." "Lies," shouted a Talvesh representative. "Is it?" Marcus pulled out a data device. "I've spent 6 months unlocking the Crown's historical records. I have proof. Battle records, communication logs, treaties that were signed and then broken. The First Empire wasn't perfect, but you weren't the heroes you claimed to be." The chamber erupted in angry voices. Some aliens supported Marcus. Others demanded his immediate execution. Vorath raised his hand for silence. "Even if what you say is true, it was 10,000 years ago. The past is dead. What matters now is maintaining peace." "Peace?" Marcus laughed bitterly. "You call it peace when humans are scattered across marginal worlds, when we're kept ignorant of our own history, when we're treated as second-class citizens in a galaxy we once protected." "Protected?" Vorath's eyes narrowed. "You mean ruled, controlled, dominated?" Before Marcus could respond, the chamber doors burst open. Commander Zraith strode in, his military uniform perfect, his face filled with barely controlled rage. "Honored Council," Zraith said with a slight bow. I apologize for interrupting, but this human threat must be addressed immediately. Vorath gestured for him to speak. Zraith pointed at Marcus. In the 6 months since this human awakened that cursed crown, we've detected 17 other ancient human facilities activating across the galaxy. Weapons caches, defense platforms, hidden bases. The humans are remembering. They're finding their old technology. He pulled up holographic images showing human colonists discovering ancient artifacts, scientists unlocking forgotten knowledge, engineers upgrading their ships with recovered technology. This is exactly what we feared, Zraith continued. The humans are preparing for war. They're becoming dangerous again. We're not preparing for war, Marcus said firmly. We're preparing to defend ourselves. There's a difference. A difference? Zraith laughed harshly. You've united 20 human colonies under your leadership. You've built a fleet. You've activated weapons that could threaten entire worlds. How is that not preparation for war? Marcus met Zraith's eyes steadily. Because if we wanted war, Commander, you'd already be dead. I spared your life at Station Theta 9. I could have destroyed your flagship, but I didn't. That should tell you what our intentions are. Vorath leaned forward. Then what do you want, Marcus Cole? Why did you truly come here? This was the moment Marcus had been waiting for. The moment that would determine humanity's future. I want recognition, Marcus said clearly. I want humanity to have a seat on this council as equals, not as subjects. I want our colonies to be treated with the same respect as every other species. I want the truth about our history to be acknowledged. Impossible. Several aliens shouted. Vorath raised his hand for silence again. Marcus Cole, I will make you an offer. One chance for peace. Take your crown and your followers. Build a small kingdom in the outer sectors. We'll recognize your independence. But stay away from the core worlds. Stay in your corner of space. Accept your limits. It was a generous offer, Marcus knew. More than he expected. He could accept this deal, build something safe for humanity, avoid conflict. But then the crown's voice whispered in his mind, not with words but with feelings, images of what could be. The old empire restored. Humans ruling the galaxy again. Power, glory, respect earned through strength. You could take it all back, the crown seemed to say. The empire. Everything that was stolen from you. Make them bow. Make them remember why they feared humanity. Marcus looked at Sarah, who stood quietly at the edge of the chamber. She was watching him carefully, and he could see the worry in her eyes. She knew what the crown was telling him. She knew the choice he faced. He could accept peace and stay small, or he could reach for something greater, something dangerous. For a long moment, Marcus said nothing. The entire council chamber waited in tense silence. Finally, Marcus spoke. No. Vorath's expression darkened. No, I don't want your permission to exist in a corner of space, Marcus said strongly. I don't want your generous offer of scraps. Humanity will rise again, and we won't ask for your approval. We'll reclaim our place in this galaxy, not as your subjects, but as your equals. That sounds like a declaration of war, Vorath said quietly. It's a declaration of independence, Marcus corrected. We're done being controlled, done being kept weak, done being lied to about our own history. If you try to stop us, you'll face the same fate as those warships at Theta 9. Zraith stepped forward, his face twisted with anger. You threaten the entire council? One human with an old crown? Marcus smiled, and there was something dangerous in that smile. Not one human, Commander. Millions. Billions. Every human in the galaxy just learned the truth. They know we were powerful once. They know we can be powerful again. Try to stop us, and you'll learn what happens when humanity stops being afraid. The chamber exploded in chaos. Aliens shouting, some demanding Marcus be arrested, others calling for immediate military action against all human colonies. Vorath stood slowly, his ancient face filled with disappointment and resignation. Marcus Cole, you have made your choice. The Council cannot accept your demands. We cannot allow humanity to rise unchecked. We cannot risk another empire. He turned to the assembled aliens. Assemble the Grand Armada. Every species will contribute ships. We will show the humans that the galaxy will not tolerate their threats. Marcus felt his heart sink. He had hoped to avoid this. But the Crown had been right about one thing. The other species would never accept humans as equals willingly. "How many ships?" Marcus asked quietly. Vorath's answer was cold. 500 warships, the largest military force ever assembled. We will go to Earth itself. We will break humanity's spirit before this rebellion spreads. Marcus wanted to feel afraid, but the Crown's knowledge filled his mind with strategies, with possibilities, with ways to win against impossible odds. "Then come," Marcus said calmly. "Come to Earth. But know this, you're making the same mistake you made 10,000 years ago. You're underestimating humanity. We're survivors. We're adaptable. We turned a death world into a garden. We'll turn your armada into scrap metal." As guards moved to escort Marcus from the chamber, he looked at Vorath one last time. "You should have accepted peace when I offered it." Sarah rushed to his side as they left the chamber. "Marcus, what have you done?" 500 warships. How can we possibly fight that?" Marcus touched the bag containing the Crown. "The same way humans have always won impossible fights, Sarah. We'll adapt. We'll improvise. We'll survive. And if we lose," Marcus's expression was grim, "then at least humanity will fall fighting for freedom instead of living on our knees." As their ship left the Council station, messages were already spreading across the galaxy. The Council had declared war on humanity. An armada was being assembled. Every species watched and waited to see what would happen when 500 warships arrived at Earth. Most expected humanity to surrender immediately, but Marcus knew something they didn't. Humans were at their most dangerous when they had nothing left to lose, and the war for humanity's future was just beginning. 6 months had passed since the Galactic Council declared war on humanity. 6 months of preparation, fear, and determination. Marcus stood on the command deck of humanity's first unified defense station, watching the stars through the massive view screen. Behind him, human officers from 20 different colonies worked together, monitoring systems and coordinating their defense fleet. The crown rested on his head now. Not because Marcus wanted power, but because humanity needed every advantage they could get. The knowledge it provided was their only hope against 500 warships. "Sir, long-range sensors are detecting the armada," reported Lieutenant Chen, a young officer who happened to be Sarah's niece. "They're approaching the solar system. Estimated arrival in 2 hours. 2 hours until the largest military force in galactic history arrived to destroy Earth." Sarah stood beside Marcus, looking at the tactical display. Their defense fleet consisted of only 40 ships, upgraded with recovered technology, but still vastly outnumbered. "Marcus, are you sure about this plan?" Sarah asked quietly. "It's risky. If it fails, then we fail fighting," Marcus replied calmly. "But I don't think it will fail. The Crown showed me something important about humanity. We don't win through strength alone. We win through adaptation, through creativity, through doing things our enemies think are impossible." He turned to address the command crew. "Everyone listen carefully. In 2 hours, we face the greatest threat humanity has ever known. 500 warships coming to break us, to scatter us, to make us forget again who we are." The crew listened intently. "But they're making the same mistake they made 10,000 years ago," Marcus continued. "They think technology and numbers are enough. They forget that humans evolved on a death world. We survived ice ages, predators, diseases, and our own worst instincts. We turned every challenge into an advantage." He pointed to the tactical display. "Today we show them what that means. Today we remind the galaxy why they feared humanity. Not because we're cruel, but because we never give up. We never stop adapting. We never accept defeat." The crew responded with determination in their eyes. 2 hours later, Commander Zerath sat on his flagship at the head of the Grand Armada. 500 warships surrounded him, the combined military might of 30 different species. He had never felt more confident. "All ships advance into the solar system," Zerath ordered. "Defensive formation. Stay alert for any tricks." The armada moved forward like a wall of metal and death. But as they passed Jupiter's orbit, something strange happened. "Sir," his sensor officer reported, "I'm detecting nothing. No defense fleet, no orbital platforms. Just empty space." Zerath frowned. "Where are the human ships? We detected 40 vessels 6 hours ago." Unknown, sir. They're just gone. This didn't make sense. Humans couldn't hide 40 ships. They didn't have cloaking technology. Continue advance, Zraith ordered cautiously. Stay alert. This is probably a trap. The armada continued toward Earth, passing Mars, then approaching Earth's moon. Still nothing. No defenders. No weapons. No sign of resistance. Sir, this is wrong, his tactical officer said nervously. Where are they? Then space itself seemed to tear apart. 40 human ships appeared from nowhere, emerging from dimensional folds, tiers in space that allowed them to hide completely. It was technology the aliens thought impossible for humans to master. But the Crown had taught Marcus the secret. The First Empire had perfected dimensional travel thousands of years ago. The human ships weren't where the aliens expected. They appeared scattered throughout the Armada formation, not in front of it. Suddenly, the enemy wasn't facing an organized defense. They were surrounded by smaller, faster ships attacking from every direction at once. All ships, break formation. Engage the humans, Zraith screamed. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The human ships didn't fight like traditional warships. They fought like wolves hunting prey, fast, coordinated, unpredictable. They used guerrilla tactics, hit-and-run attacks, turning the Armada's massive size against itself. Alien ships accidentally fired on each other. Their communications became confused. Their formation collapsed into chaos. They're everywhere. An alien captain screamed over the communication channel. I can't track them. Human pilots pulled maneuvers that should have killed them. Sharp turns at high speed, impossible angles, flying through debris fields that should have destroyed their ships. But humans were used to adapting, used to pushing limits, used to surviving impossible situations. On Earth, engineers watched the battle and made real-time modifications to weapons. Scientists hacked into alien communication systems, spreading false orders and confusion. Even civilian volunteers helped, jamming enemy sensors and providing tactical information. The entire human species was fighting as one organism, each person contributing their skills. Zraith watched in growing horror as his perfect armada fell apart. Ships were damaged. Formations were broken. His commanders were panicking. They're not trying to destroy us, his tactical officer realized suddenly. They're teaching themselves, learning our tactics, adapting to our weapons. That's when Zraith understood the terrible truth. The humans weren't fighting to win this battle. They were fighting to learn from it. Every encounter taught them something new. Every failed attack showed them what didn't work. They were evolving in real time, becoming better fighters with each passing minute. They're not soldiers, Zraith whispered in shock. They're survivors, and survivors learn faster than anyone. Marcus's voice suddenly broadcast across all channels, calm and clear. Commander Zraith, I want you to think carefully about what's happening. You brought 500 ships to destroy Earth, but look around. Your armada is in chaos. Your ships are damaged. Your commanders are confused, and we've only lost 3 vessels. Zraith looked at his displays. Marcus was right. Despite overwhelming numbers, the aliens were losing. You came here to break humanity's spirit, Marcus continued. But you've done the opposite. Every human on Earth is watching this battle. Every colony is seeing what we can do when we work together. You're not crushing us, you're uniting us. Marcus paused, then his voice became harder. But I'm also broadcasting this to every species in the galaxy. Let them watch what happens when you try to commit genocide. Let them see you attacking civilian worlds. Let them decide if they want to support an empire that chooses war over peace. Across the galaxy, billions of aliens watched the battle on their screens. They saw the massive armada attacking Earth. They saw human civilians evacuating cities. They saw children being carried to shelters. Public opinion began to shift. Many aliens had believed the Council's propaganda about dangerous humans. But watching 500 warships attack a defensive force of 40 ships made them question who the real aggressors were. On Talvesh Prime, the homeworld of Zraith's species, protests erupted. Citizens demanded their government stop the attack. Other species began withdrawing their ships from the armada. Zraith watched as his fleet began to fall apart from within. Ships retreated. Allies abandoned him. His perfect armada was collapsing not from military defeat, but from moral failure. In desperation, Zraith ordered one final massive assault on Earth itself. All remaining ships target the planet. If we can't win this battle, we'll at least destroy their home world. 200 ships turned their weapons toward Earth, charging their most powerful weapons. Marcus had been waiting for this moment. It was the move he knew Zraith would make when desperate, the move that would end this war forever. Now, Marcus commanded quietly. Around Earth, dozens of defense satellites activated. Not weapons, but shields. Ancient First Empire shield technology that could protect an entire planet. Technology that had been buried on Earth for 10,000 years, waiting for someone with the knowledge to activate it. A shimmering barrier of energy surrounded Earth like a soap bubble. Beautiful and impossibly strong, the alien weapons fired. Every ship released its destructive payload, enough firepower to crack a planet's crust. The weapons hit the shield and simply dissipated, absorbed harmlessly like rain on glass. Zraith stared in absolute disbelief. That's impossible. No shield can stop that much firepower. First Empire shields can, Marcus replied. And there are 12 more planets with these shields. Mars, Venus, the colonies. We've been reactivating them for 6 months. You can't destroy us, Commander. You can only waste more lives trying. The battle was over. Zraith knew it. Everyone knew it. But Marcus offered something unexpected. I'm not going to destroy your remaining ships, Commander. I'm going to let you retreat. All of you, go home. Tell the Council that humanity will not surrender, but we don't want endless war either. Zraith's pride was shattered. Why? Why show us mercy after we tried to exterminate you? Marcus's voice was gentle. Because someone has to break the cycle of violence. 10,000 years ago, your ancestors defeated us and showed no mercy. They erased our history and scattered our people. If I do the same to you now, we'll just perpetuate the cycle. He paused. I want to build something different. A galaxy where species compete through ideas and innovation, not through war and domination. But that can only happen if we choose peace, even when we have the power to choose war. Slowly, the remaining alien ships retreated. They limped away from Earth, defeated not just militarily but morally. The war was over. 5 years later, Marcus stood in the new Galactic Council chambers. The structure was different now, rebuilt to represent true equality. Humans had a seat at the table, earned through their courage and restraint. The crown sat in a museum on Earth, displayed behind protective glass. People came from across the galaxy to see it, the artifact that had awakened humanity and changed everything. Sarah joined Marcus as they looked out at the rebuilt council station. Ships from 100 different worlds came and went peacefully. Do you ever regret it? Sarah asked. The crown could have made you an emperor. You could have rebuilt the old empire. Marcus shook his head. The old empire ruled through fear and power. That's not what I wanted. This, he gestured to the peaceful station, this is better. Species working together as equals. The crown still calls to you sometimes, doesn't it? Sarah asked knowingly. Marcus smiled sadly. Every day. It whispers about power, about glory, about what could be. But I don't need to be an emperor. I just needed to remind the galaxy that humanity refuses to be forgotten, refuses to be controlled, refuses to give up. A young human diplomat approached them. Ambassador Cole, the council is ready for your address about the new trade agreements. Marcus nodded, then turned back to Sarah. We're not conquerors. We're not tyrants. We're survivors who learn to thrive, and that's always been our greatest strength. As Marcus walked toward the council chamber, he thought about the journey from his small repair shop to this moment. He had been afraid many times. He had made difficult choices. He had risked everything, but humanity was free now. Free to grow, to learn, to become whatever they chose to be. Not because they conquered the galaxy, but because they chose to be better than their enemies. And that, Marcus thought, was a victory worth more than any empire. The age of human forgetting was over. The age of human thriving had begun.